Impeachment at the IRS. Commissioner John Koskineb in hot water. Actually, this time it's boiling. Tonight, the House Oversight Committee officially beginning the impeachment process. Why? Well, the IRS targeting scandal. The committee saying Commissioner Koskineb has violated the public's trust. And right now, Florida Congressman and member of the House Oversight Committee, Ron DeSantis, goes on the record. Good evening, Congressman. And this is the resolution. This is the impeachment resolution. Why?
Well, if the IRS were investigating you, auditing you, let's say, and you destroyed documents, you lied to them about what you did, you refused to turn over other documents that they ended up finding, would they ever let you get away with that as a taxpayer?
So what's taken so long?
Of course not.
Because this has been going on for a long time. What's taken so long then? Why now?
Well, this is a combination. I've been agitating to do this for a long time. They wanted to make sure that the case was built, and we've given the IRS all kinds of time to correct the record, to produce the documents. But when you have a situation where they're destroying 24,000 of lowest learners' emails that are under congressional subpoena, no explanation for that. When they say they've turned over every email, and then the TIGTA, the Inspector General for Tax Administration, finds an extra 1,000 emails just basically sitting in plain sight. Are they just going to be able to get away with that? I think someone like John Koskineb should live under a higher standard than what he imposes on taxpayers. Under no circumstances should he live under a lower standard. Is this in any way because the Department of Justice has declined to prosecute lowest learner? That announcement coming last week. Well, we went in the Wall Street Journal, Jim Jordan and I, arguing for this in July. So this is something that was independent of that. But I do think that when you see this investigation and literally nobody's going to be held accountable, we've tried to investigate it, and under Koskineb's guidance, the IRS has stonewalled us. I mean, are we just going to walk away and shrug our shoulders and say, yeah, nobody's ever held accountable in this town, and it needs to stop? Well, this is the town of no consequences. I will give you that one. All right. Have you gotten the green light from Speaker Boehner or potentially Speaker Ryan, or are you sort of in this window of time so that you could almost go rogue and make your own decision? Well, ultimately, you're going to have the leadership support it. The Speaker Boehner's office had been supportive of us building the case, but I think this is going to be a decision for the next speaker to make, and obviously the Judiciary Committee. We have a lot of members on the Oversight Committee who are also on the Judiciary Committee, which will actually try this. So I think you're going to see a lot of support from the Republican rank and file for this. All right, well, here's what the IRS, we reached out for the IRS to get a statement, and they gave us a statement. It says the IRS statement on impeachment resolution. The IRS vigorously disputes the allegations in the resolution. We have fully cooperated with all of the investigations. Period. Well, that's not exactly right. If emails have been discovered and something's not right. John Koskineb said all the backup tapes, they're gone. So the IG checked that. They drove out to West Virginia, they asked for the tapes, and they found a bunch of backup tapes. Is that because he's not doing his job well, or he's deceitful? And although, both would be a good reason someone shouldn't hold a job, but are you saying he's deceitful or that he just can't do the job? I think either way, you've breached your duty. I think he was so dismissive of this that I think he didn't want to do any real investigation. I think he wanted to do the bare minimum, thinking he could paper over this and just move on. He never believed that these allegations were worth investigating. And I think the arrogance he displayed in front of the American people is something that a lot of voters saw, and they wanted to see action. All right, Congressman, ever since the news of this IRS scandal broke, Commissioner Koskineb has been coming under fire. Back in 2014, Congressman Paul Ryan barbecuing him at a Ways and Means Committee hearing.
I don't believe you. This is incredible.
I have a long career. That's the first time anybody has said that you do not believe me. I
don't believe you.
That's fine. We can have a disagreement. I'm willing to stand on our record. I'm willing to remind you that it was not buried in 27 pages. Most of that 27 pages is exhibits. When asked about the custodians, we advised you what
being forthcoming,
which we knew for one day.
Being forthcoming is to say,
I'm sorry.
You know what, investigators, Congress who's investigating this.
Will you let him answer the question?
I didn't ask him a question.
Yes, you did.
Being forthcoming.
Gentlemen.
Congressman, thank you for joining us. But I can see from the statement, the question with Committee Chairman Paul Ryan, there's a lot of unhappiness with this man. Because understand, a couple months before that, Koskineb said, hey, if there's any problems in our investigation, we're going to come right to you. We're going to let you know. He waited several months, and then he buried this news in a footnote in a filing with the Senate Finance Committee. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for having me. And on the record political panel is here from The Hill, A.B. Stoddard, from the Washington Post, Aaron Blake. A.B., are you surprised, first of all, that this resolution to impeach Koskineb? It's quite lengthy.
I mean, it's always a surprise, but they've obviously been, making their preparations and getting ready and planning this for a while and giving the commissioner the chance to avoid this. Obviously, on the substance, the IRS has not been accountable for its mistakes. It is definitely reasonable to say that the truth was not always told and the records were not turned over. Politically speaking, I think impeachment is something that the Democrats are probably fundraising already over in the last few hours, and it can be a real political problem going forward for the Republicans.
Aaron, it's a nice way to say the truth was not always told. It's a nice way to say they lied and they didn't turn over documents. And I actually wondered, why this. I always call this the city of no consequences. So I'm actually surprised that finally, someone's being a little bit aggressive looking into this. Are you?
I think what happened here is this is the logical next step in this process. Last week, the Justice Department basically said there are going to be no criminal charges filed in this investigation. They said there was no proof of any wrongdoing. So the House was really had the ball in their court as far as moving this forward, keeping this thing going. And, the clip you showed with Commissioner Koskineb, jostling with Paul Ryan, he did that with a number of members during the committee hearings that he testified in front of. Clearly, he rubbed some people the wrong way, and maybe this is a logical conclusion.
It wasn't just rubbing the wrong way. He didn't have the documents. I mean, he wasn't forthright. It just wasn't. I mean, it's like you can't make this stuff up. He said things didn't exist that did exist.
Yeah, but you also have to wonder if the fact that he was so in your face and so reluctant to kind of take his grilling made Republicans even more upset with him and led them to take this kind of unusual and very far step in this process.